Hi, my name is Taylor Facen, and I'll be presenting to you my speech on conditional spanking for children. Spare the rod, spoil the child. You've heard that, or something similar to it, when a child is out of control and behaves in a way that is undesirable and inappropriate, that could also endanger themselves or others. They are referencing spankings, not to be confused with physical beatings or whippings, which are forms of abuse. Some people believe no matter what the behavior, spanking should never be used as a form of discipline. Not me. Certain behavior requires it. Spanking is a form of punishment given out as discipline to correct the child's behavior. There are other forms of discipline we will examine later that can be used in conjunction with spanking that could assist in turning the child's behavior. Now, major differences between spanking and physical abuse include the act of spanking is actually an open hand smack to the hand or buttocks. However, physical abuse is more of a beating, which involves striking repeatedly, choking, punching, or even kicking. And spanking's intentions are to correct the problem behavior, while physical abuse promotes violence and is to use physical force with the intent to injure or abuse. A spanking should be done with love, concern, and have good intentions. But physical abuse is done with anger, violence, and malice. The spankings are supposed to produce corrected behavior. But physical abuse, that just produces emotional and physical harm. There are many myths regarding the negative outcomes attached to spankings. However, there are certain spankable infractions that not only warrant spankings, but there are studies that show if used in the right parental style, spanking produces optimal behavioral results. And some spankable infractions include hitting an adult, spitting on someone, being disobedient, calling an adult names or cursing, intentionally harming someone, or acting a fool and having really bad temper tantrums. Spankings are an acceptable form of discipline to correct the behavior of out-of-control children. There are parents who do not spank their children, even though their bad behavior is deliberate and persistent. It is as though there is no parental control. The children are disobedient and unmanageable. Timeouts and non-corporal punishments do not correct the bad behavior. If unchecked, this behavior can lead to bullying and not being able to function in society with rules. Conditional spanking, in conjunction with other forms of discipline, works with correct parenting styles as seen in the Baumritt study, a study done by Diana Baumritt with bachelor's, master's, and a PhD. She is also a clinical and developmental psychologist known for her research in parenting styles. Proper implementation requires time, control, and nurturing, with rules that stipulate this type of punishment and when it will be used. Within the Baumritt study, 3 parenting styles include authoritarian, which has excessive control, little nurturing, with excessive spanking. The authoritative style has moderate control, a lot of nurturing, and moderate spanking. Permissive has moderate control, little nurturing, and rare spanking. The authoritative parenting style produces the most optimal results because it has the correct ratio of control, nurturing, and spanking. Results can be immediate because the punishment is painful. However, parents must explain the reason the child is being punished and how the child is supposed to behave going forward. Based on the study, approximately 80 to 90% of preschool parents spank their children when bad behavior does not conform to expectations. Paul Preston, a psychologist with a master's degree with an education and psychology, confirms these statistics. Not only siblings, friends, parents, classmates, but children across nations are affected. A study completed by I.J. Chang, Rebecca W. Pettit, and Amiko Katsurada comparing 227 U.S. and Japanese college students showed that 86% of Japanese and 91% of U.S. students experience at least one spanking during their youth. My experience as a child in having my first ever spanking was done by my grandmother. She told me not to go into the basement with my brother and my cousin, yet I disobeyed her. The moment she found out, she called me to her and told me that she'd known that I disobeyed her. She told me that I was going to receive a spanking because I disobeyed her rules, and that if I didn't want to get any more spankings, that I should listen to her. From that one spanking alone, I knew that I never wanted to feel that again. While there is research citing that corporal punishment produces negative emotional and psychological impacts on a child, the studies do not separate the effects of spanking versus physical abuse, two totally different forms of corporal punishment. We have seen the results of conditional spanking by looking at the consequences of disobedience and alternative parenting styles. You have to have seen some unruly child acting out somewhere at a party or in a grocery store or at some other public or private event and thought to yourself, this type of behavior is unacceptable, and obviously timeouts are not working. Had he or she been spanked to know what behavior is acceptable, this child would not be running the show. Some people say that it's not politically correct to spank children. However, my upbringing taught me differently. If a child needs it, then he or she should get it.